Is racebending making people more racist? This is a question that has been on my mind for some time now. I've already gone over racebending a few times on this channel, and I can tell from the comments that not the greatest people have watched them. Now, as an American, I want to make it clear that I'm talking about racism from an American point of view, but it's the only point of view that really matters until another country can put a man on the moon. Looking at you, Canada! But in all seriousness, racism is different in different places around the world. Sure, an American who isn't educated might mistake a Japanese person and a Chinese person as the same race, but a lot of them sure don't think they are. I kind of find it funny that a lot of Americans used to see Irish people as a different race from British people, but the average Chinese person more than likely thought they were the same race. For the longest time, most characters in media were white, and over the years, more and more of them have been changed into other races of people for representation. Now sure, the corporations aren't doing things like this out of the goodness and kindness of their hearts. They're mostly just pandering to certain minority groups to increase the chances of them buying their products, or to keep their funding from BlackRock, but again, that's a video for another time. Or at least that's what I thought for the longest time. But then I started to look deeper into the discussions around HBO Max's show Velma, along with the new April O'Neil from TMNT. They both almost seem like right-wing parodies of leftist media, or bait for the so-called reactionary crowd. The show makes fun of white men up to the point that the writers are wearing their gender studies degrees on their sleeves like a fashion statement. Velma gets race-bent into a South Asian minority, but the showrunners go out of their way to also add like 100 pounds of fat, like she was in Super Size Me. But it's a little hard to tell with the bagginess of the shirt. Also, before anyone in the art commentary community tries to take me out of context for the 50th time, no, I am not saying she's unattractive because she's South Asian. I'm saying that she was not only race-bent, but also made to look less attractive. If you can't understand this, then your IQ might as well be room temperature, probably in Canada. Now, April O'Neil has been race-bent black before, and not that many people really cared. Seth Rogen being involved with this show really didn't help things, especially when you consider the travesty known as Santa Inc. he helped create. A show that doesn't involve race-bending, sure, but it does seem to get most of its humor from Twitter activists, aka jokes about white men. And yes, I do know that the original Santa is debated to be Middle Eastern. Then we have Amber from Invincible. She was race-bent from an attractive blonde girl to an attractive black girl. I guess I could give the showrunners credit for not pulling a Velma, and for most of the show I don't feel like blowing my circuits out of my head. But then she goes and basically throws all of that goodwill out the window by behaving like an average low IQ donkey. She blows up at Mark for keeping his hero identity hidden from her and just acts in a very unreasonable way. But I've already talked about this in tons of videos already, like in my Superheroes Why They Lie video, which actually gave me the idea to make this video in the first place. And let's not forget another group of atrocities, the Disney live-action adaptions. Good God, look at what they did to Mulan. It might not have involved race-bending, but it sure as hell was a total piece of shit. But then you have Tinkerbell and Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Yep, race-bending is in full swing here, folks.
What the hell is that?
Now I want to make it clear, Tinkerbell is a much better person in the live-action version. At least she doesn't try to kill Wendy, so in a way she's the opposite of Amber. However, she was still in a movie that people were going to shit all over with the force of a dead meme. Now there's more examples I could use, but I think you get the point. They race-bend a character, but also change the way they act to make them behave like a much worse person. Or they make them overweight, or at least try to make them look less attractive to the other characters in the main cast or from their original version. Sometimes they race-bend a character in a product that they know people won't like. All the examples I've used thus far are from the last few years. I'm not talking about things from 5 or 10 years ago. All of this stuff has happened in the last 2 to 3 years. So I just have to ask, why is this happening? Well, I have a few theories. Maybe these studios just suck at writing stories, and the test audience doesn't like it usually, so they change a character's race to use it as a shield from criticism.
You're making me very uncomfortable. Please leave.
Mr. Mouse! Mr. Mouse! Oh, what the hell are you screaming about, you inbred monkey? Get back to work! People didn't like the scene change I did with Amber. The test audience hated it. What should I do to fix it? Oh, isn't it obvious, you simpleton? Rewrite it into something the fans will love. Wait, really?
No, that's way too much work. Just make her black. And if people don't like it, just pull the good old-fashioned Twitter out of your ass.
What's pulling a Twitter?
Make sure everyone knows they're a recreation of Hitler or some other famous bigot, I don't know.
Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration of a possible scenario, but I've got more theories. Maybe there's something much more nefarious going on here. The history of slavery is taught in just about every grade, but something not a lot of people question is why the white workers and the black slaves didn't start working together in mass. The truth of the matter is they had a reason to act in solidarity. Poor whites and slaves taken from their homes started talking to one another. They found out they weren't so different, and some even started to revolt against the upper class. So why didn't this happen all over the country? Well, the rich whites knew this problem would keep getting bigger and bigger, so they divided the working class in order to conquer them. They fired their white workers and spread rumors that if it wasn't for those darn Africans, they would still have their jobs. They went out of their way to further stratify whites and black folks on the plantation, to implant hatred for all white people in the minds of their slaves. Whenever I hear an African American talk about rich white people, or a right-winger talking about the liberal elite, I know they are all talking about the same thing. The rich people who have almost everything, when we almost have nothing. Never forget, race isn't just about skin color. That's just what they want you to think, because being divided makes it much easier to keep us from coming together to rebel against the elite. Race is divided into two groups, us the red bloods and them the blue bloods. Race in some ways is determined by the number of digits in your bank account. I may be a Northern European, but I have more in common with my red-blooded West Indian roommate than any rich Hollywood blue blood. The rich man will tell you, "White man, I know you are having a hard time finding a job, and crime is up where you live. It's the fault of those who are of a darker pigment than you." Or, "Black man, I know you are still dealing with the damages caused by redlining, and you never know when a cop will arrest you just for walking or driving. You didn't do anything wrong. It's those racist, melanin deficient ones who are responsible for all the problems in your life." A blue blood will trip up a white guy and tell him that a black guy, age 16 to 24, did it. He will then trip up a black man and tell him a white guy with tattoos and a funny accent did it. They haven't changed their playbook for 150 years, and they're still doing what they've always done, divide us by race, so we spend too much time hating each other for differences that are literally skin deep, instead of doing something about our economic situation. Can anyone reasonably say to themselves that rich people don't benefit the most from race wars? But what does this have to do with race bending? Well, a white guy sees a character from a show he likes being not only race bent, but also made to be fatter, and their personality is changed into that of a horrible person. They are told that if they don't like this character, then they are racist. This makes them more likely to buy into racist thinking, and some of them will attack a show for having a race bent character even if it's done well. Some POCs will see this and start to become more worried that white supremacy is on the rise, especially when media headlines perpetrate this narrative of something being racist, even when it shouldn't be seen as such. Just like what I said in my villain incel video when it came to gender. This eventually creates a feedback loop, but for race instead of gender this time. Now, when I was a robot boy growing up in the early 2000s, race relations between white and black people seemed to be doing better than it is now. Granted, things weren't so great for Muslims back then. Neo-WW2 German soldiers weren't really that much of a thing, and no one like Andrew Tate was that big at all. But when all of this Hollywood woke PC political messaging was being shoved into everyone's faces, things started changing. You see, no one would be asking for free healthcare or rent if things were reasonably priced, like an abortion that cost $20 or a 2-bedroom apartment that was only $300 a month. When there's a need, there's a want, and when there's a want, someone somewhere is going to try to sell to those who want it. Sorry, but Andrew Tate was created by those who hate him the most. After all, Frankenstein's monster was created by Frankenstein himself. He may deny it, but in his heart he knows it to be true. Or who knows, maybe writers are just getting lazy at the same time that inclusion is being pushed. But whether this was done intentionally or not, I think I have provided a lot of evidence that race bending has made people a little more racist. Hopefully someday soon, new diverse characters will be made that are well written, that everyone can enjoy, so people can come together and move humanity into the stars. So we can start killing all of those lizard people and bug people and all the other species who don't look like us. And yes, I may be a robot, but I'm still designed to be like a human. This video was sponsored by the Humanity First Corporation.
Coming soon.
After reviewing so many woke movies and shows, I one day finally took a step back and asked myself, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe the world has moved on from people like me. No, I'm right, and it's the mainstream media who's wrong. After all, movies that are coming out nowadays just keep on bombing, and streaming services are losing more and more subscribers with every new woke show that comes out. But then I asked myself, why are companies even doing this in the first place? There must be a reason for it. After all, capitalism is not based on who has the most PC points, but who has the most money. If your company doesn't make as much money as your competitor, you'll go bankrupt. After all, there's no one in the world who should know how to play the capitalism game better than Disney and Amazon, right? They are run by Lex Luthor and Mickey Mouse, who are some of the richest people in the world. The stocks of those mice and men are worth a lot. Out of everything, why die on the hill of wokeness? Fans aren't happy, actors aren't happy, and even the people they are trying to pander to aren't happy. Are these companies doing this out of the goodness of their hearts? Probably not. Let's not forget, Disney is turning a blind eye to what China is doing to the Uyghurs. Come to think of it, there's a lot of companies that do bad things and also promote protecting the environment. Like, are they getting tax breaks from the government for doing stuff like this or something? I decided to look into this stuff, and I found out that a lot of these companies that pretend to be progressive are funded or partially owned by a massive corporation I've never heard of before, and it goes by the name BlackRock. I'm gonna give Mickey a call and ask him about this. Hello, Mickey. How are your stocks doing?
You know how a woman's tits drop when they get old? My stocks are basically doing that. They bounce up and down, but they keep getting lower and lower.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
Enough chit-chat. Why did you call me?
I found out about this company called BlackRock, and I was hoping—
What? There's no company by that name. Never call me again!
Danger Dan wanted me to say, I'm a dog, then you're dog food. Anyways, before we get to the credits, I just want you guys to know that I'm sorry for not uploading a video last week. It is finished, but I spent a lot of money on making it, so I just have to get it monetized before I upload it. It's just over 25 minutes long, and it's about the evolution of YouTube politics. Next month is Star Wars month. For the entire month of September, I will be uploading multiple multi-hour long Star Wars videos. I've been working on them on the side for 4 months now, so I hope you guys are excited for it. Also, if you want a really good breakdown of the whole situation with the new April O'Neil, I would recommend you check out this video by my friend LioConvoy. I'll link it down below. Please go check it out. Alright, now it's time to get to the credits.